Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're doing another comic book issue review. Today we're looking at Kill All Immortals, issue number 5. This is the last issue in this first story arc, although it's not clear if a new story is going to come out or not. This might be left as is, because I don't know how popular it was. I really enjoyed it, but some aspects of it could have been, dragged out a bit more, and explained a bit further maybe. But it's ultimately pretty enjoyable. I quite had a good time with it, and I think that I do want more of this story to come out. I just don't know when that will be, or if it'll even get the chance to come out, right? So we'll see. But Kill All Immortals is written by Zack Kaplan and has art by Fico Ossio, who you can now follow on DC. He's doing artwork for Black Lightning, and I think he might be doing it for a different series as well. I'm not really sure, but his artwork is phenomenal. It's very, very enjoyable. So yeah, this opens up on Nuke in Greenland in the year 1003 AD. Frey is told to stay in the boat as her family is getting off of it in order to go chase down Idun, right? The thing that fell from the sky. We transition back to the present where she's back at her home, and that's what triggered her remembering this. She's back to the place where Idun landed, back at the tree, and she makes it to that purple tree, to Idun, and it turns out that her family is also there. They have managed to be there before her in some way, even though I'm pretty sure that would not be possible. And since she has killed Owen Jabari, she is allowed to come back into the fold. She has been forgiven for her transgressions, more or less, right? The thing is that, she didn't really do anything wrong, so she's not very happy about this. And as her family tries to keep the status quo that they've always had, she gets mad and she says she's going to cut down Idun. She's going to cut down the tree, and hopefully that will undo their immortality curse and lead them to change for the better, right? And this is when Leif, her older brother, attacks Frey, and Thor steps in to stop him because she has somehow managed to convince him that this is wrong. She has reminded him that he is a human, that he should not follow blindly in his father's footsteps, and that he has better things to do with his life. And Leif is thrown to the ground. Stain steps in to fight Freya, and as he's doing this against Freya and Thor, he decides to also switch sides. And now everyone is left to fight Leif on his own. And he continues to fight them very clearly, very offhandedly. He's still stronger than all of them. And he is having a conversation with Freya. And Freya says something, and before he can even answer, his father yells for him. He answered for him. And this is really what kind of breaks the camel's back, if it were, or as it were, and this is what causes Leif to switch sides as well. And so they have this big fight. It doesn't look too great. I mean, Fico Ossio's artwork is awesome, but there is a bit too much motion here and not enough pauses in the way that he's writing his action, where it really just seems like there's a bunch of action lines, but no clear understanding of who's doing what and where. And maybe that's actually not Fico Ossio's problem. Maybe that's Roca, who is the colorist, right? Maybe it's his fault that it doesn't look that great. I'm not really sure. I always kind of default down to the artist, because the colorist does make or break your enjoyment of a certain artwork, but it doesn't really change the way in which action looks, right? At least in my opinion. I could be wrong about that. So I would blame Fico Ossio on this, but it's a pretty minimal kind of issue. Broadly speaking, the story is quite well enjoyed, even with the occasional issues in the artwork. It just turns out that it's a bad thing in this case, because this was the culmination of the story. If it had been something like in issue 3 or something, I would have not really cared. But because it is at the end of the story, at the end of the issue where the climax of the story is happening, it does feel a bit disappointing that it doesn't look that great, right? So the boys together manage to overpower their father, and then they hold him down as Freya chops down the tree. And as they do this, a psychic wave that doesn't affect them at all kind of flows through the world, right? And the father gets mad. He yells at them, you have no idea what you've done. You have led to dangers that you're unaware of, right? And We know that this is true because something did happen when that second wave went off. And so they decide to not kill their father because they don't want to test the immortality yet. They think that he deserves the pain of death, but it should be a drawn out slow one, which is, what happens when you age. And they go off into the sunset or into the sunrise, I think, and they enjoy it and they hope that they are now mortal, right? And this is the end. We have a epilogue scene here where we focus in on China. A giant man is revealed to also have his own tree, although his looks a little bit different. And he says that it is time for war. And this is really cool because it turns out that this man is Genghis Khan. And that's very exciting. I'm pretty sure Genghis Khan happens, or like the stuff with Genghis Khan in Europe happens in the late 12 or 1300s. And the Vikings happened in the 1000s, right? So there is a little bit of a difference there in time periods. There are a few other kind of historical creatures and people that are important around these time periods. And so if there was multiple kind of Iduns falling from the sky, this might mean that there is a lot of different communities of immortals. And that might be pretty cool and exciting. And, to see how this plays out. The thing I'm guessing is that Genghis Khan is going to be the main bad guy next time that we have this story, and the Viking characters are going to have to fight him, and they might have to, find a way to team up with their father because he's the only one that knows what the fuck is going on, right? Supposedly, or maybe that is what is set up. Broadly speaking, I did enjoy myself reading this a lot. I think the coloring was, broadly speaking, really enjoyable. There was a lot of very interesting color choices throughout the issues. I enjoyed the artwork a lot. I think the way that Ossio picks his the way that he draws faces is very great. There were some issues with the posing here and there that wasn't great throughout the issues, but it was pretty minimal across the board, and so minimally problematic in my case. There are some issues with the storytelling, though. I think that even though the storytelling is good, broadly speaking, because the idea that Freya and this guy are in love, and so they want to go do these things, and her father doesn't let her, is understandable and enjoyable and very clearly something that we all kind of can get to an extent. The final climax of the story happens too quickly. I think we needed 2 issues total, right? So it should have been a 6-issue series in order to really get through all of this properly, because Stain and Thor and Leaf kind of change alliances too quickly for my taste, especially Leif. He has shown no reason why he would switch at all. We didn't really see him chafe under his father's leadership. We didn't really see anything like that. We did see Stain and Thor struggle a little bit, and they're a little bit more human than Leif and their father. So that one isn't too bad, but Leif turning in the last second really was kind of annoying because it didn't really work out. I didn't see it being foreshadowed properly or being set up properly. And so that might have been an issue of having only 5 issues. That might have been an issue of Zack Kaplan not really being that great of a writer. I'm not really sure. I can't really say it was one way or the other. I just know that it wasn't that great, right? So that's really the only issue I had with the story. I mean, broadly speaking, the artwork is forgivable. The storytelling is a bit harder to forgive. So that's why I'm mentioning it so much. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Kill All Immortals #5. Let me know what you thought down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys later.